Am I the asshole for going to the bank the morning after my grandma's 90th birthday party? After my mom gave me an empty jewelry box as a joke in front of 60 guests?
Welcome to PopcornRest Story. Today's story is about a family gathering dance star with public humiliations and silent friend model playing a long game no one understands and a hidden stroke that changes everything overnight. What's really happened behind that empty box? So let's get started to see what's happened.
I opened the box on stage and there was nothing inside, just my mom had handed it to me with both hands, the way you hand someone something precious. She had called my sister Paige up first, then given her a diamond ring from our grandmother's collection. She had called my brother Grant up second and given him a gold watch. Then she called my name. The box was the kind that usually holds something significant. Velvet interior, hinged lid, the right weight in your hands. I opened it in front of 60 people to empty. Someone in the audience laughed. Then a few more people. My mom smiled. I closed the box and walked back to my seat. Under the table, my grandmother Dorothy, 90 years old, small and precise and sharper than anyone in that room, reached over and took my hand. She pressed something into my palm, a folded piece of paper and a small key. Then she let go and looked back at the party like nothing had happened. Some background. I'm a landscape architect. I've been freelancing for 8 years. I have a decent business, good clients, work I'm proud of as my family has not been aware of most of this because for the past 12 years I have been the one they don't talk about. The rebel. The difficult one. The daughter who caused problems and should have known better. It started when I was 22. I was visiting my grandmother, and I found some bank documents that didn't look right. My grandmother's savings account showed a withdrawal of $15,000 that she hadn't mentioned to me. I found something else, too. Paperwork related to the deed on her house with my mother's name added in a place it hadn't been before. I brought it to my mother. She told the family I had accused her of stealing. She said I was jealous of her relationship with my grandmother. She said I was trying to drive a wedge between them for financial reasons. She said several other things that I won't list here, but that effectively turned my sister and brother and various aunts and cousins against me for the better part of a decade. That my grandmother never said anything publicly about any of it. What my grandmother did instead was let me come visit every weekend. For 12 years I drove for hours each way to spend time with her. I cleaned her house. I went to her medical appointments. I sat in her kitchen and ate whatever she had made, and we talked about her garden and her neighbors and the books she was reading. She never once told me what she had done. She just kept letting me come. The birthday party was 3 weeks ago. My mom organized it. 60 people, a rented venue, a program with speeches and a slideshow. She had arranged a segment where she would distribute some of my grandmother's personal items, jewelry and keepsakes, to family members I did not know I was going to be part of that segment until my name was called. I'm sitting in my car outside the venue now. The party ended about an hour ago. I have a folded piece of paper in my hand. 7 words in my grandmother's handwriting. Everything real is already in your name. I also have a key. Before the party started, my grandmother had pressed it into my hand when we were briefly alone. She said, "Keep this safe." I didn't ask what it was for. I think I know what it's for. The bank opens at 9 tomorrow morning. Am I the asshole if I go? I'm not sure this is even an am I the asshole situation. I'm not sure what I'm asking exactly. I think I just need to say it somewhere before I go home. And try to sleep as my grandmother is 90 years. Old and sharp enough to have planned something 12 years ago and patient. Enough to have waited until tonight to tell me. I opened an empty box on stage in front of 60 people. The key is in my hand. Too long. Didn't read. Mom discovered I'd confronted her about stealing from Grandma 12 years ago, turned the family against me, and I've been the outcast ever since. Still drove for hours every weekend to visit Grandma regardless. Tonight at Grandma's 90th birthday party, Mom called us on stage and gave my sister a diamond ring, my brother a gold watch, and me an empty jewelry box in front of 60 people. As I walked off stage, Grandma grabbed my hand and slipped me a note and a key. The note says, "Everything real is already in your name. Bank opens at 9 a.m. Am I the asshole if I go find out what she meant? Edit, I called my grandmother when I got home. She picked up on the second ring. She said, "Did the key fit?" I said I hadn't tried it yet. She said to get some sleep first. I said okay, that attitude. Just got back from the bank. Sitting in my car. Update coming.
So this story honestly feels kind of uncomfortable to sit with, like you watching something that shouldn't have been placed down in front of so many people. The way your mom handed down those gifts and then left you with an empty box in front of everyone doesn't just feel cruel. It feels intentionally staged to embarrass you. And I think most people hearing this would feel that little drop in their stomachs at the moment, like, wait, that's really just happened. But then your friend model completely flips the emotional tones, that quiet hands waves, the keys. It feels almost itty in how calm it compared to the cars around it. Like everyone else, it's loud and performative, but she operating in something no one else understands. If I had to guess, that key isn't just sentimental. It could be a certified deposit box, a will updated, or documents tied to on ship that we ride the family it's a story. And the scary part is whatever is in that bank might not just answer your question. It might change who everyone else think they are.
Update 1. The next Dave key fit. The safety deposit box was in a branch about 40 minutes from my grandmother's house. I got there when they opened. A bank associate walked me back. I put the key in, and I opened it. Inside was a folder. Inside the folder was a letter from my grandmother, written in her handwriting, and a set of legal documents. I read the letter first. She said she had known what my mother had done 12 years ago. She said she had not confronted my mother directly because she had learned, over many years of watching her daughter operate, that direct confrontation produced more damage than quiet preparation. She said she had hired a lawyer within weeks of discovering what had happened and had spent the following months putting her affairs in order. She said she was sorry. It had taken so long and that she was sorry for what the years had cost me. She said she hoped I understood why she had waited. The documents were an irrevocable trust that my grandmother had structured it carefully. All of her assets, the house, the accounts, the investments she had accumulated quietly over a long life, had been transferred into the trust approximately 11 years ago. The trust named me as the sole beneficiary. The total value was listed in one of the attached documents, just under $2 million. The trust was irrevocable, meaning that once it was created, it could not be changed, challenged, or undone. My mother's name appeared nowhere in it. The name on the deed of my grandmother's house, the manipulation my mother had attempted 12 years ago, had been legally invalidated before the ink was dry, apparently, by a lawyer my grandmother had retained and never mentioned to anyone. I sat in the parking lot of the bank for about 45 minutes. The diamond ring my sister had received at the party was real, but it wasn't part of the estate. The gold watch my brother had received was real, but the same. The heirlooms my mother had distributed with such ceremony were surface items. They had monetary value. They just weren't the foundation. The empty box was the only honest thing on that stage, yet my grandmother had been telling the truth. I just didn't know what the truth was yet. I drove to her house. She was in the kitchen when I arrived, drinking tea, reading something. She looked up when I came in and set the book down. I sat across from her and I didn't say anything for a moment. She waited. I said, "How long did you know I would be coming this morning?" She said, "Since about 1997. She explained some of it. Not everything. She said her lawyer had the complete picture and that I should call him when I was ready. But she explained the shape of it. She said she had known, for most of my adult life, that my mother's relationship with money was not safe. She said she had watched carefully. She said that when the bank documents appeared, the withdrawal, the deed, she had understood that waiting was no longer a viable strategy. She said she had never told me because she hadn't wanted it to change how I came to see her. She said she wanted me to visit because I wanted to, not because I knew something was coming. She said, "I needed to know you would have shown up anyway." I said, "I would have." She said, "I know. That's why I waited."
Honestly, this update lifts the story out of normal family drama territory and turns it into a masterclass in long-term strategy. It's like watching someone playing high level of chess years in advance, like, while everyone tells it just struggling to react. It's so muscle. It makes you stop in your tracks just to assess it. The Strammore's calm demeanor is what holds me the most. Tripping all I like. seen about 1997 a while. That isn't just PC repetition. That isn't just basic preparations. That's decades of keeping a straight face and waiting for the right moment. It leaves you just standing there completely stunned. And emotionally, it's got a bit of a twist too. There's something really moving about her not telling you anything, not even defending you directly, just quiet making sure you kept showing up because you wanted to. That's his in the true way. Loyal, but also heavy. At this point, I feel a mix of curiosity and tensions, like something bigger is still waiting to unfold, and we are seeing the surface of it. So let's move to Update 2.
Update 2. Finny mother found out through her own lawyer, who was contacted by my grandmother's lawyer as a matter of legal courtesy, she called me. I answered. She said I had manipulated an old woman. She said I had spent 12 years pretending to care about my grandmother in order to secure her assets. She said she was going to challenge the trust, I said. Irrevocable trusts are not challengeable in the way she was describing. She said her lawyer would determine that. I said, okay, that was the conversation. I haven't heard from her since, which I understand means her lawyer confirmed what I told her, that my sister Paige has not reached out. My brother Grant sent a short text that said something about hoping the family could work through this. I replied briefly and moved on. The relationships there are what they are. I'm not pursuing anything, and I'm not closing any doors. I'm just not standing in the hallway waiting at my grandmother, and I still have our weekends, she asked me once. After everything had settled, whether I was angry about the years, the 12 years of being the one the family didn't talk about, I thought about it for a moment. I said I didn't think anger was the right word. I said something had been taken from me, and I had built around it, and the building had turned out okay, she said. That's all I hoped for. She is 90 years. Old, and she is precise, and she drinks her tea in the same chair every morning, and she has been several steps ahead of everyone in my family since before I was born. I did not know this about her until recently. I think I had always suspected it. The note is framed on my mantel. 7 words in her handwriting. I found a small frame that matched nothing else in the room, and I didn't care. The empty box is next to it. I've had people ask me why I kept the box. Some people find it strange to keep something that was given as a humiliation. I keep it because my grandmother kept it too. She kept the truth of it for 12 years, waiting for the right moment. She told the truth on that stage, and the room laughed because they didn't know it. They were looking at us, I know now. The box was empty because everything. Ria was already somewhere else, that not the asshole, obviously. But the question I needed to answer wasn't about the bank or the trust or any of the legal architecture my grandmother spent a decade quietly building. It was whether 12 years of showing up every weekend had been the right thing to do. It was. Not because of what came from it. Because of what it was. She needed someone to show up. I showed up. That part was never about the money. Just the money is a letter from an old woman who watched everything carefully for a very long time and decided, without telling me, that I had earned it. I'll take care of it. Too long. Didn't read. The key opened a safety deposit box with a letter from my grandma and legal documents for an irrevocable trust she'd set up 11 years ago. Nearly $2 million. All in my name. My mother's deed manipulation had been legally invalidated before it could take effect. The diamond ring and gold watch were real, but not part of the estate. Surface items. The empty box was the only honest thing on that stage. My grandmother explained she'd needed to know I would show up anyway. I would have. Mom called, threatened to challenge the trust. Irrevocable trusts don't work that way. Her lawyer confirmed. Paige hasn't reached out. Grant sent a vague text. I still drive out every weekend. The note is framed on my mantel. The empty box is next to it. She told the truth the whole time.
Finishing this story leaves a real strain after stays. Like you watch something on phone that looked messy and emotional on the surface, but underneath was far more confirmed than anyone initially realized. At first, it genuinely reads like a heart family moment, but the public gift giving, the empty box, the larger that follows. Mob people would probably feel that immediate wave of discomfort and frustration, like it just unnecessary frivolity trends up as a celebration. But the further it goes, the more it stops feeling spontaneous at all. The friend mother is particular, completely reveres everything. She isn't reacting to the situations. She almost orchestrating from a distance. That's no what Elle has access to. The scene's about 1997. Details, land slept like a trees, and more like a wild review of how long this have really been sitting underneath everything. What's really hits you emotionally is how backward a whole concept of a reward gets turned here. The family is so hyper-focused on the flashy, visual stuff, the watch, the rings, the big public scenes, while the things that actually matter are kept hidden, laying out in slow motion until you finally understand them much later. It leaves you feeling this weird mix of shock and introspections for you to question everything you thought you know about the story. So by the time it ends, there's no long, victorious celebrations. It's quiet and content, making you realize the real story wasn't the big showdown as all, but the years of quiet waiting that's allowed it to happen. So let me know what you guys think about this story, because I genuinely want to hear that. If you didn't try this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Popular This Story, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!